So I was asked to make a sign for a family member that was starting a new business, and the first thing I had to do was kind of take their logo and make it a little bit better. So I consulted a buddy of mine, and he kind of helped me refine it and get it a little bit tighter, a little bit more symmetrical, and we ended up with this final concept. It was supposed to look weathered, so the only thing I had was this old picnic table that had been cracked kind of in the sun and kind of had that look. However, it was still too thick to look like it was made out of dimensional lumber, so I planed down the back side of it, the unweathered side, down to about an inch and a quarter. Then my plan was to mount it on a piece of 1/4-inch masonite, arrange all these boards in a way that would fit, and to get about a 4-foot circle. So I made a template and used a string and a marker, and I kind of traced that out on the masonite to kind of give me a guideline of what I was looking for. Then it was a matter of just arranging these boards to make it fit. And I did come up short of my 4-foot circle, so I used some 2x4s that were sort of weathered, and I tried to make those blend into the other boards. But even after staining them with some gray stain, there's no substitute for the actual weathering. So you're either going to fake the whole thing or do it all out of the same weathered material. Ultimately, the circle just ended up having to be smaller. So instead of 48, it ended up being a 43-inch diameter for its total. And then I had to attach it to the masonite. So I thought mechanically fasten it, but I didn't want the screws in there when I was machining it. So I just used some exterior grade glue and glued it down to kind of the fuzzy side of the masonite, and then put some screws in the back of it overnight to let the glue dry and adhere somewhat well to that masonite. And then the next day, once the glue had dried, I went through and took out all those screws just so I didn't actually hit them when I was machining it with the CNC router. My program's pretty basic. I pretty much just used an 1/8 inch and a 1/4 inch spiral down bit to machine out the slots for the sunbeams, which we're going to get painted later, and then I used that 1/4 inch spiral down to cut out the perimeter. I didn't go the whole way through because I didn't want the big circle to break free and take a chunk out of it with the bit. There you can see it running the program. Again, it was an 1/8 inch straight bit and a 1/4 inch bit I used for my flat area clearance tool to kind of machine the bigger sections. Then I used that same 1/4 inch spiral down to cut the whole thing out. Then, with a little bit left in the masonite there, I just took a jigsaw, staying away from those machined edges, and cut out everything, leaving a little bit of lip on the back side. Then I took a 1/2 inch flush cut bit on my regular router, and I went around the whole perimeter of the masonite there up against the 2x6s and get myself a nice clean edge around the entire perimeter of the sign there. And then for the letters, I put everything on a 12 inch by 24 inch piece of 1/8 inch ply, and then used our Epilog Laser to cut everything out. And obviously the laser does an awesome job of getting nice crisp edges, and every letter turned out perfect. Then I used just some satin black Krylon there, sanding in between coats, and ultimately getting about 3 coats on those letters. And then for inside the pockets there for the sunbeams, I just used some acrylic black paint. That was probably the most time-consuming part, is getting that all even. And then to glue down the letters, I used just some heavy-duty liquid nail because I needed something that was kind of thick that would adhere to the treated lumber. So I kind of painted that on a real thin strip over top and just kind of pressed those onto the treated lumber, and they seemed to hold pretty well. And then here you can see what it looks like when it was all, everything was glued down, and like I said, overall, it stuck on pretty well. On the back, I made a French cleat. I feel like most people know what a French cleat is. You have a bevel on one side that goes against the wall, and then one goes up against the object. Screwed that into the back. It actually gave it a little stability too, and then that's how we're going to mount that thing on the wall. For the end grain, where I had the cut surfaces and the machined surfaces, I need to look weathered as well, so I used this mid-wax gray stain that kind of matched the patina of the wood there. So this is the overall view of the sign. You can see here, like I said, how the slots kind of turned out. Took a lot to get everything kind of even with that paint, and then the letters stuck on pretty well, and that satin finish kind of makes them pop up against the kind of dull tone of the wood. Overall, I think it was a fun project. I guess I'd make another sign or two if given the option. Hope that's helpful to somebody. Thanks for watching.